The morning sun shone brightly through the kitchen window. Birds chirped happily, and a soft breeze moved the curtains. Maria, a young mother, was busy preparing breakfast. She hummed a gentle tune while stirring the porridge in the pot. Her small house was quiet, except for the occasional sound of the wooden floor creaking. Maria's little son, Sam, was only 3 years old. He had curly brown hair and big curious eyes. He was sitting on a small chair near the table, swinging his legs and watching his mother. His favorite dog, Bruno, a big golden retriever, was lying on the carpet, wagging his tail every few minutes. Bruno was gentle and loved Sam very much. "Sam, eat your breakfast," Maria said with a smile. Sam giggled and shook his head. "Not hungry, Mama," he replied in his tiny voice. Maria looked at the clock. She had an appointment at the small market to buy some vegetables and milk. It would only take a few minutes. She smiled at Sam. "I will be back very soon. You stay here with Bruno, okay?" Sam nodded happily. "Okay, Mama. I will stay with Bruno." Maria wiped her hands on her apron and opened the door. Bruno got up and walked to the door, tail wagging, ready to follow her. Maria laughed. "No, Bruno, you stay too. Be good while I'm gone." She gave him a gentle pat and stepped outside. The door clicked softly behind her. The house was quiet again, except for the soft breathing of Sam and the slight sound of Bruno moving on the carpet. Sam looked at Bruno and smiled. "Bruno, we are alone. Can we play?" Bruno tilted his head and barked softly. He seemed to understand Sam perfectly. Sam got down from his chair and crawled onto the floor. He grabbed his small toy truck and started pushing it across the carpet. Bruno followed him, watching the truck carefully. Sometimes, Sam would giggle and say, "Catch it, Bruno," and throw the truck lightly. Bruno would nudge it back with his nose. After a few minutes, Sam decided to explore. He crawled toward the living room, dragging his toy truck behind him. Bruno followed closely, staying near Sam. The sunlight made patterns on the wooden floor, and Sam loved watching them. He pointed at them. "Bruno, look, the sun is dancing." Bruno wagged his tail. He did not fully understand, but he liked that Sam was happy. Sam moved to the window and pulled himself up to stand. Outside, he could see the garden. Flowers were blooming, and the wind made the petals shake. A butterfly flew past the window. Sam reached toward it, his small hand pressed against the glass. Bruno sat near Sam, always keeping him safe. Sam clapped his hands. "Bruno, look at the butterfly. It is so pretty." Bruno barked softly as if agreeing. Sam's curiosity grew. He wanted to go outside, but the door was closed. He tried to reach the doorknob, but it was too high. Bruno noticed Sam's struggle. He moved closer and nudged Sam's hand gently. Sam laughed. "Bruno, you are helping me," he said. The dog lay down next to the door, keeping Sam near. Sam decided to play with his truck again. He pushed it around the living room, over the carpet, and under the table. Bruno followed, watching carefully to make sure the truck did not get stuck. Sometimes, Bruno would sniff the truck and then look at Sam with a happy expression. Sam's attention shifted when he noticed a small box on the floor near the bookshelf. It was a puzzle he liked, with big colorful pieces. Sam crawled toward it and opened it. He picked up one piece and tried to fit it in the board. Bruno sat quietly, watching Sam concentrate. Not here," Sam said. He tried another piece. "Ah, yes, this one fits." He clapped his hands and laughed. Bruno barked softly, making a small happy sound. Sam patted Bruno on his head. "Good dog, Bruno. You are my friend." Time passed quickly. Sam was so busy with his toys that he did not notice a small shadow moving outside the window. A cat had come to the garden and was watching the flowers. Sam saw it and pointed. "Bruno, look, a kitty." Bruno barked once and then lay down, keeping an eye on the cat. Sam tried to make the cat come closer, but it ran away. Sam giggled. "Bye-bye, kitty. See you later." After a while, Sam felt a little tired. He sat down on the carpet, hugging his toy truck. Bruno lay down beside him, keeping him close. The dog's warmth and calm presence made Sam feel safe. He leaned against Bruno and started humming a little tune, just like his mama. Bruno closed his eyes but stayed alert. Suddenly, a small noise came from the kitchen. Sam turned his head. "Bruno, what is that?" he asked. Bruno perked up his ears and sniffed the air. He moved toward the sound, making sure Sam was safe. The noise was nothing serious, just the window shaking slightly because of the wind. Sam laughed. "It is just the wind, Bruno. You are brave." Bruno wagged his tail. Sam patted him on the head again. "We are together, Bruno. Nothing can scare us." Time went slowly after that. Sam looked around the house, noticing small things he had never seen before. He saw the picture of his family on the wall and smiled. "Mama, that is you and me," he said softly. Bruno listened and nudged Sam gently. Sam's stomach made a small noise. He remembered he had not eaten much. He looked at Bruno. "Bruno, I am a little hungry. Do you want some water?" He went to the small bowl of water and drank a little. Bruno watched him and licked the water from his own bowl. The dog and the boy were calm and happy together. Outside, the sun moved higher and the shadows in the room changed. Sam tried to build a small tower with his blocks. He stacked them carefully, counting each one. Bruno sat near him, watching every block. When the tower fell, Sam laughed and said, "It is okay, Bruno. We can try again." Suddenly, the sound of a car stopping outside made Sam's head turn toward the window. His little eyes grew wide. "Mama," he whispered. Bruno got up and ran to the door, barking softly. Sam ran after him, excited. He reached the door and looked through the window. It was not Maria yet. The car belonged to a neighbor. Sam felt a little unsure. He looked at Bruno. "Bruno, I am a little scared," he said. Bruno nudged him and barked once, reassuring him. Sam smiled. "Okay, Bruno, I am brave with you." Bruno stayed close as Sam walked back to the living room. Sam picked up his toy truck again. He tried to imagine that he was a driver in a big city. He made car sounds and drove the truck carefully around the carpet. Bruno followed, always watching, always guarding. Outside, Maria was hurrying back from the market. She had bought vegetables, bread, and milk. She smiled thinking about how safe Sam would be with Bruno. Maria loved that her son had a loyal friend in Bruno. When she reached the door, she unlocked it and stepped inside. The smell of breakfast was still in the air, and the sunlight made the room warm and bright. She called out softly, "Sam, I'm back." Sam heard her voice and ran toward the door, with Bruno following. His little legs moved fast, and his curly hair bounced with each step. "Mama, Mama," he shouted happily. Bruno wagged his tail, barking once. Maria looked at them and smiled. Her heart felt full. She saw Sam safe, happy, and playing with Bruno. She reached down and hugged Sam tightly. "I miss you," she said. Sam hugged her back and whispered, "I was with Bruno. He is my friend." Maria looked at Bruno and patted his head. "Thank you, Bruno. You kept Sam safe." Bruno barked softly and wagged his tail, happy to be praised. Maria felt relief, but a small uneasy feeling stayed in her heart. She could not explain it. Everything seemed normal, but she had a little worry that something unexpected might have happened while she was gone. She shook her head and tried to think positively. "Come on, Sam," Maria said. "Let's have breakfast together." Sam nodded and went toward the table. Bruno followed them, sitting patiently. Maria served the porridge, and Sam ate slowly while looking at Bruno. Bruno stayed close. Always watching, always protecting, everything seemed peaceful. But the feeling of unease in Maria's heart grew stronger. She did not know why, but something made her a little nervous. She looked around the room, checking the doors and windows. Everything was locked and safe. Maria took a deep breath. She tried to relax. "Maybe I'm just being silly," she said. Sam looked at her and smiled. Bruno barked softly as if agreeing. Maria and Sam finished their breakfast. They laughed and played quietly. Bruno stayed near, keeping them safe. But deep down, Maria's uneasy feeling did not go away. She could not explain it, but she felt that soon something would happen that would change everything. After breakfast, Maria cleaned the dishes while Sam played on the carpet with Bruno. The golden retriever stayed close to Sam, his eyes always alert. Maria's uneasy feeling had not left her. Something in the air felt strange, but she could not tell what it was. She tried to shake off the worry and focused on putting the kitchen in order. Sam picked up a small red ball and rolled it across the living room. Bruno chased it, catching it gently in his mouth before dropping it back near Sam. The boy laughed, clapping his hands, and threw the ball again. Bruno barked softly and nudged the ball toward Sam. They played happily, their little world full of joy. Maria finished cleaning and went to the small window above the sink. Outside, the garden was quiet. The flowers swayed in the gentle breeze. She saw the neighbor's cat hiding behind a bush. Maria smiled, trying to convince herself that everything was normal. "Sam, do you want to go outside for a little while?" Maria asked, drying her hands. Sam's eyes lit up. "Yes, Mama, please," he said. Bruno wagged his tail, happy about the idea. Maria opened the door to the small backyard. Sunlight bathed the grass, making it look golden. Sam ran toward the flowers, careful not to step on them. Bruno followed closely, sniffing the air and keeping watch. Maria felt a sense of relief as she watched them. The boy and the dog seemed safe, playful, and happy. Sam noticed a small butterfly hovering near a yellow flower. "Bruno, look," he shouted. Bruno barked once and stayed near, watching Sam's excitement. Sam ran after the butterfly, waving his hands. Bruno followed, careful to stay close in case Sam stumbled. Maria walked slowly behind them, enjoying the peaceful morning. But the uneasy feeling in her heart grew stronger. She glanced around the yard and noticed the gate slightly open. Her heart skipped a beat. She had closed it properly before coming outside. "Bruno," she said softly, calling the dog. Bruno stopped and looked at her. He barked once and then walked toward the gate. Maria went quickly to check. The gate was loose, swinging slightly with the wind. She reached out and pushed it closed, locking it carefully this time. "Strange," she murmured. "I remember closing it properly." Sam ran toward her, holding a small flower. "Mama, look what I found," he said, showing her the bright petals. Maria smiled and hugged him. "It is beautiful, Sam. Thank you for showing me." Bruno nudged Sam gently, encouraging him to play more. Maria watched them for a moment, then decided it was safe to let Sam explore the yard a little while she went inside to get water. For both of them, inside the house, Maria filled 2 cups with water and carried them outside. When she stepped onto the grass, Sam was already playing with Bruno near the small tree. He rolled the ball and threw it, and Bruno chased it, barking softly. Maria handed Sam his water cup. "Here you go, my little explorer," she said. Sam drank carefully, then handed Bruno his water in a small dog bowl Maria had prepared. Bruno drank slowly, his tail wagging happily. The sunlight felt warm, and the gentle breeze made Maria feel calm for a moment. But then she noticed a small movement near the corner of the yard. Something was hiding behind the bushes. Her heart tightened. She could not see clearly. "Sam, stay close to me," she said softly, moving toward the bushes. Bruno followed her, growling quietly, his ears alert. Sam took a step back but did not cry. He trusted Maria and Bruno completely. Maria carefully walked to the bushes. A small shadow disappeared quickly behind the fence. Maria frowned. "Who is there?" she called, her voice calm but firm. No answer came. The yard was quiet again. Bruno stayed at Maria's side, his body tense. Sam clung to Maria's hand, looking at the bushes with wide eyes. Maria tried to calm herself. "Maybe it is just a cat or a bird," she said softly, though she did not feel convinced. She checked the fence. Everything seemed secure now. She let out a slow breath and turned to Sam. "Come on, Sam," she said. "Let's go back inside for a little while. It is safer." Sam followed her, holding Bruno's leash. Bruno walked calmly beside them, always alert. Inside, Maria closed the door carefully and made sure all windows were locked. Sam sat on the couch, tired from playing outside, while Bruno lay down near him. Maria sat beside Sam and held his small hands. Everything is okay now, she said gently. Sam nodded but looked at her, his eyes full of curiosity. Mama, was it a kitty? He asked. Maria smiled. I think so, Sam. Nothing scary. Just a kitty hiding behind the bushes. Sam relaxed a little and leaned against Bruno. Bruno nuzzled him gently, keeping him calm. Maria watched them, her heart still uneasy but hoping that everything would stay peaceful. Suddenly, the sound of a soft thump came from the kitchen. Maria's heart jumped. She looked toward the kitchen, but everything seemed normal. Sam noticed her concern and asked, Mama, what is it? Maria tried to calm her voice. I think it is just something that fell. Nothing to worry about, Sam. Bruno immediately got up and walked toward the kitchen. His ears perked up and his tail stayed straight. He sniffed the floor carefully, moving from one corner to another. Maria followed him, her steps quiet. When they reached the kitchen, Maria saw a small pan lying on the floor. It had fallen from the counter. She frowned. She had not left anything near the edge. Bruno barked softly and nudged Sam, making sure he stayed close. Maria picked up the pan and checked the counter. Everything else seemed in order. She put the pan back carefully, making sure it could not fall again. Maria sighed. Maybe it was the wind, she murmured, though she did not feel fully convinced. She looked at Bruno. Thank you for keeping Sam safe. Bruno barked once, wagging his tail. Sam smiled and patted Bruno's head. The afternoon passed slowly. Sam played quietly with his blocks and toy cars. Bruno stayed near him, watching every movement. Maria cleaned the house and prepared a small snack for them. She tried to relax, but the strange feeling from the morning had not left her. Something about the day felt off, though she could not say what it was. Sam finished his snack and went to the living room. He picked up a storybook and tried to show the pictures to Bruno. Bruno tilted his head, watching Sam carefully. Look, Bruno, a lion, Sam said, pointing to a picture. Bruno barked softly as if agreeing. Maria watched them and smiled faintly. The boy and the dog were so happy together, but the strange feeling in her heart grew stronger. She could not ignore it. Suddenly, a loud knock came from the front door. Maria jumped slightly, her heart beating fast. Bruno immediately ran to the door, barking loudly. Sam hid behind Maria's legs, holding her hand tightly. Maria went to the door carefully. Who is there? She asked. No one answered. The knock came again, louder this time. Maria's hands trembled a little. She looked through the peephole. Nobody was outside, just the empty street and a quiet neighborhood. Maria opened the door slowly. A small envelope lay on the porch. She picked it up carefully. There was no name, no stamp, just the envelope. Her heart raced. Sam peeked from behind her. Mama, what is it? He whispered. Maria held the envelope tightly. I don't know yet, Sam. Let's see carefully. She opened it slowly. Inside was a small note written in neat handwriting. Be careful today. Not everything is as it seems. Maria's heart stopped for a moment. She looked at Sam and then at Bruno. The boy was safe, and the dog was alert. But the note made her feel a cold shiver. Someone had left a warning. Who could it be, and why? Bruno growled softly, sensing Maria's unease. Sam clung to Maria's side, his small face curious and worried. Maria hugged him gently. It is okay, Sam. We will be fine, she said, though her voice trembled a little. The envelope lay on the table. Maria stared at it for a long time, thinking. The house was quiet again, but the feeling of something unknown lingered. She knew that soon she would have to find out who had sent the note and why. Sam looked up at her. Mama, are we in danger? Maria smiled softly, trying to hide her fear. No, Sam, Bruno and I are with you. You are safe. Bruno barked once and wagged his tail, reassuring them both. But Maria's mind was racing. The peaceful day had changed suddenly. Something unseen was watching. Something was waiting. Maria took a deep breath. She decided she could not let fear take over. She would protect Sam and Bruno. But she did not know that the day was about to become far more frightening than she could imagine. The envelope on the table seemed harmless, yet it carried a warning. Maria felt it in her bones. Something was coming, and she had to be ready. Maria could not stop thinking about the note. It sat on the kitchen table, its small white paper seeming harmless, yet heavy with a strange warning. She kept glancing at Sam and Bruno. Sam was building a tall tower with his blocks while Bruno lay near him, alert and calm. Everything appeared normal, but Maria could not shake the uneasy feeling in her chest. She tried to focus on simple tasks. She washed some dishes and arranged the living room. Each time she moved, her eyes kept flicking toward the envelope. Whoever had left the note had been close enough to the house to place it on the porch. Maria wondered if it was just a prank or something more serious. Sam suddenly toppled his tower. He laughed and clapped his hands. Bruno nudged him, concerned the blocks might hurt him, but Sam waved his hands. "It is okay, Bruno. Let's build it again." Maria smiled faintly at their play. She wanted to feel normal, but a tiny part of her remained alert. She thought about locking the door again, even though it was already locked. She checked the windows and the back gate. Everything was secure, yet she still felt that eyes were watching them. "Sam, do you want to help me in the kitchen for a little while?" Maria asked. Sam's eyes lit up. He loved helping his mother. He ran to her, holding Bruno's leash in one hand and his small apron in the other. Bruno followed quietly, sniffing the air. Maria handed Sam a small wooden spoon. "You can stir the batter," she said. Sam stirred carefully, watching the mixture thicken. Bruno stayed near, wagging his tail softly, sensing that Maria needed reassurance. The day grew warmer. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and Maria felt grateful for the brightness. Yet a shadow of fear lingered. She had grown up trusting her instincts. Something was wrong, and she needed to understand what it was. Suddenly, Bruno's ears perked up. He growled softly, low and steady. Maria stopped stirring and looked toward the living room. Sam looked puzzled. "Bruno, what is it?" he asked. Bruno did not move away from the living room entrance. His body was tense, and his eyes were fixed on the doorway. Maria's heart pounded. She walked slowly toward the living room, with Sam close behind. She saw nothing unusual, yet Bruno remained alert. Maria crouched down. "It is okay, Bruno. I am here." "Sam, stay close." Bruno growled again, but this time louder. Maria's instincts screamed that something had changed. The quiet house felt heavier, almost as if it was holding its breath. Sam clung to Maria's side, feeling the tension in her voice. Maria decided to check the back door. She moved quickly but carefully. The door was locked. Nothing seemed out of place. Bruno sniffed around the threshold, circling it once before lying down, his ears still attentive. Maria breathed slowly. "Maybe it was nothing," she whispered, though she did not believe it. She looked at Sam. "We need to stay together for a little while," Sam nodded. Clutching her hand tightly, they returned to the living room, trying to act normal. Sam picked up his storybook again, showing Bruno the pictures. Bruno tilted his head, watching Sam's every move. Maria sat on the couch nearby, pretending to read a magazine. Yet her eyes kept scanning the room. Hours passed slowly. The sunlight began to fade, and the room grew dimmer. Maria knew she had to be cautious. She thought about calling her neighbor for company, but something told her to stay alert first. She did not want to leave the house unattended again. Sam grew sleepy. He climbed onto the couch, resting his head against Bruno. Bruno lay down beside him, wrapping his body protectively around Sam. Maria watched them, feeling a mix of relief and fear. She could not let anything happen to her son. A sudden noise outside startled Maria. It was soft, almost a whisper, but it made her heart race. Bruno immediately got up, his fur standing slightly on his back. He ran to the window, barking once. Maria followed, peering out. Nothing was visible. The street was empty. The garden swayed gently in the evening breeze. Maria tried to calm herself. "It is just the wind," she said, though her voice lacked conviction. Bruno remained by the window, alert and protective. The sky grew darker. Maria turned on the lights inside. The house was filled with a warm glow, but the shadows in the corners seemed longer and stranger. Maria's heart pounded as she walked through the rooms, making sure everything was safe. Sam stirred on the couch, his eyes half closed. "Mama, is someone outside?" he asked softly. Maria shook her head. "No, Sam, we are safe inside. Bruno is here, and nothing can hurt us." She patted Bruno's head. Bruno barked softly in reply, reassuring both Maria and Sam. Maria decided to make a small dinner. She cooked quietly, keeping one eye on Sam and one on Bruno. The dog sat near the living room entrance, scanning the house. Maria felt a strange mixture of comfort and fear. She knew Bruno was a loyal protector, but something about the day felt unusual. After dinner, Maria cleaned up and brought Sam to the bathroom to wash his hands and face. He was sleepy, but his eyes were bright with curiosity. Bruno followed them quietly, sniffing around the hallway. Maria tucked Sam into bed. He hugged his small blanket and patted Bruno, who lay at the foot of the bed. "Good night, Bruno," Sam said softly. Bruno rested his head, closing his eyes but remaining alert. Maria kissed Sam's forehead. "Sleep well, my little one. Mama is right here." She turned on a small night lamp and stepped out of the room slowly. Leaving Bruno nearby, she returned to the living room and glanced at the envelope again. The words still seemed to whisper in her mind. "Be careful today. Not everything is as it seems." Maria did not know who had left it, but the warning felt real. She shivered slightly, then tried to relax. Suddenly, a faint tapping came from the front door. Maria froze. Bruno growled low, deep in his throat. The sound was soft, but deliberate. Someone was trying to get her attention. Maria walked slowly toward the door. She peered through the peephole. The porch was empty, but the envelope from before had shifted slightly, as if it had been moved. Maria's heart raced. Bruno barked again. Maria knelt down, calling softly to Sam, who had heard the noise. "Sam, stay in your room. Bruno and I will handle this." Sam nodded from the bedroom doorway. His small hands gripped the blanket tightly. Bruno's fur was bristling slightly, his instincts alert. Maria took a deep breath and opened the door carefully. Nothing was there. The porch was empty. Only the small envelope remained, now lying at an angle. Maria picked it up slowly. She felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Whoever had left it had been very close. Maria returned to the living room, holding the envelope tightly. Bruno followed, pacing slightly. Maria opened the note again. The warning words seemed sharper in the dim light. She knew she could not ignore them. A sudden sound upstairs made her heart jump. It was soft, a creak from Sam's room. Maria froze. Bruno ran to the stairs, barking loudly. Sam's voice called softly, "Mama?" Maria ran to the bedroom. Sam was sitting up in bed, eyes wide. "What is it, Mama?" he asked. Maria hugged him tightly. "It is okay, Sam. I'm here. Bruno is here. Nothing will hurt you." Bruno lay near the bed, ears perked up, growling softly. Maria knew the day had changed completely. The peaceful morning, the fun in the garden, all of it felt like a memory from another world. Something unseen was close, something that had left a warning for a reason. She held Sam in her arms, listening to his steady breathing. Bruno stayed alert, watching the room. Maria's mind raced, trying to prepare for whatever was coming. She could not leave Sam's side, and she could not let fear control her. The evening stretched on. Maria sat quietly, Sam asleep in her lap, Bruno at the foot of the bed. The envelope lay on the table, its warning lingering in the room. Maria knew that soon she would have to face whatever had brought the warning into their home. For now, all she could do was stay alert, stay close to Sam, and trust Bruno. The peaceful day was gone. A shadow had entered their lives, quiet but real. Maria could feel it in every corner of the house, and she knew that the night would bring answers, whether she was ready or not. The night was quiet, but Maria could feel the tension in the house. The envelope with its warning note lay on the table, untouched. The words seemed to echo in her mind, "Be careful today. Not everything is as it seems." She kept glancing at it, feeling a cold shiver every time she did. Sam was asleep in his small bed, curled up with his blanket. Bruno lay at the foot of the bed, alert, ears perked, and eyes scanning the room. Maria sat in the chair beside the bed, holding her hands together. She knew she could not leave him alone. Something about the day had changed, and she had to be ready for whatever might happen. The moonlight filtered through the curtains, making soft patterns on the floor. Maria's mind was racing. She remembered the gate she had found slightly open in the morning. Someone had been close enough to the house to leave a note and then vanished without a trace. The thought made her heart pound. Bruno suddenly lifted his head and growled softly. Maria followed his gaze. Nothing moved in the room, yet Bruno's instincts told him that something was nearby. Maria whispered, "Bruno, stay calm. It is okay." The dog lay down, but kept his ears up. Maria tried to focus on Sam's steady breathing. His innocence made her heart ache with love and protectiveness. She had to keep him safe, no matter what. She thought about calling a neighbor, but the phone was downstairs. She did not want to leave the room and risk exposing Sam to danger. The wind outside made a soft rattling sound against the windows. Maria felt her nerves tighten. She scanned the room carefully. Everything seemed normal, but she could not ignore the feeling that something was off. A soft thump came from the kitchen. Maria's heart skipped a beat. Bruno immediately got up and ran to the door, barking softly but firmly. Maria rose slowly and followed him. The kitchen looked normal. Nothing had fallen. The envelope was still on the table. Maria frowned. She knew the house was quiet, but the sound had come from inside. She moved carefully, checking every corner. Bruno sniffed the air and circled the room. Maria whispered, "It must be the wind." Though her voice lacked conviction, she had learned to trust her instincts. Something about the day had been strange, and the note was only the beginning. A sudden scratching noise came from the window near the sink. Maria froze. Bruno barked once and ran to the window. Maria went slowly to join him. The window was locked, and the curtain swayed gently with the wind. Nothing was outside. Maria's heart raced. She knew she had to stay calm, but the feeling of being watched made her skin prickle. She decided to check the front door again. Bruno followed her, his steps silent. The envelope on the porch had not moved. Maria picked it up again and examined it. Nothing new had been added. She sighed, trying to convince herself that the day had ended and nothing would happen. Suddenly, a soft whisper came from the hallway. Maria froze. She could not tell if it was real or her imagination. She called softly, "Sam?" There was no answer. Bruno growled, his body tense. Maria took a deep breath. She moved carefully toward the hallway, holding the envelope tightly. The hallway was empty. Sam was asleep in his bed. Bruno sniffed around the doorway, growling softly. Maria looked at the envelope. She felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Whoever had left it wanted her to notice. Whoever it was knew she would read it. Maria returned to the living room. She put the envelope down and sat on the couch. Bruno lay at her feet, watching the house with alert eyes. Maria could not shake the feeling that something unseen was close. The clock ticked slowly. Maria tried to focus on the sound, to use it as a way to calm herself. But every creak in the house, every small noise, made her heart race. Bruno's ears twitched at every sound. He stayed close to Maria, protective as always. Maria thought about the day. The small incidents, the pan that had fallen, the gate slightly open. The noises had all seemed minor. But now, in the quiet of the night, they felt connected. She felt that something was coming, something that would challenge her ability to protect Sam. Bruno suddenly lifted his head and ran to the door leading to the backyard. Maria followed quickly. The door was locked. Outside, the yard was bathed in moonlight. Everything looked calm. The flowers swayed in the wind. There were no signs of movement. Maria closed the door carefully. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Bruno lay down, his eyes still alert. Maria hugged him gently. "Thank you, Bruno. You are my brave friend." Bruno barked softly in reply. Maria returned to Sam's room. He was still asleep, his small chest rising and falling steadily. Bruno stayed at the foot of the bed. Maria watched them, her heart heavy with worry. She knew the day had been unusual, and she had to be prepared for whatever might happen next. Suddenly, a small sound came from the living room. Maria tensed. It was soft, almost like footsteps, but it was deliberate. Bruno growled, low and steady. Maria's heart raced. She moved carefully toward the living room, holding the envelope tightly. Bruno stayed close, alert and protective. When she reached the living room, she saw nothing out of place. The furniture was arranged as it had been all day. The envelope sat on the table. Maria's hands trembled slightly. She knew someone had been near the house earlier. Now, in the quiet of the night, she could not ignore the possibility that the same person was still close. She felt a cold fear, but also determination. She would protect Sam. The night passed slowly. Maria sat in the living room, holding the envelope and watching the clock. Bruno stayed near her, ready to react to any sound. Every creak, every whisper of wind made Maria's heart pound. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the windows, Maria felt a little relief. The house was still quiet. Sam was still asleep, and Bruno had relaxed slightly. Maria knew that the night had been tense, but nothing had harmed them. She put the envelope in a small drawer for safekeeping. The warning was still real, and the events of the previous day had shown her that she had to remain alert. Bruno lay down next to her, and Maria rested her head, exhausted but determined. The morning light grew stronger. Maria thought about how to face the new day. The envelope's warning could not be ignored. Someone had wanted to scare her, or perhaps test her. She did not know, but she knew she had to be careful, and she had to protect Sam at all costs. Sam woke up slowly, rubbing his eyes. He smiled when he saw Maria. "Good morning, Mama," he said softly. Bruno wagged his tail and barked once, happy to see Sam awake. Maria smiled, hugging Sam gently. "Good morning, my little one. Did you sleep well?" Sam nodded. "Bruno kept me safe," he said. Maria smiled, feeling grateful for the dog's loyalty. Bruno barked softly, as if agreeing. Maria knew that today would be different. The warning was clear. Someone had been near the house. Someone had left a note, and she could not ignore it. She had to be careful, watch every detail, and ensure that Sam and Bruno remained safe. As they had breakfast together, Maria kept glancing at the window. The yard seemed peaceful, but she could not shake the memory of the gate slightly open and the pan that had fallen. Everything from the previous day felt connected. Bruno sat near the table, alert and protective. Sam played with his toy truck, oblivious to the worry that weighed on Maria's heart. She hugged him gently, feeling both love and fear. She knew that whatever was coming, she had to face it, and she had to do so with courage and care. The day had begun, but Maria's unease remained. The envelope, the noises, and the warning were reminders that the world could be unpredictable. But Maria was determined. She had Sam, and she had Bruno. Together, they would face whatever challenges awaited. Maria took a deep breath, ready to protect her son. She knew that the day would test her strength, her courage, and her ability to keep Sam safe. And she knew that she could not underestimate what had been set in motion the day before. The sun rose higher, filling the house with warm light. Maria could see Sam playing quietly with his toy truck on the carpet, while Bruno lay close, keeping a watchful eye on him. The morning seemed peaceful, but Maria knew better. The events of the previous day and the envelope's warning had changed everything. She had to remain alert. Maria decided to start the day with small precautions. She checked every door and window, making sure they were locked securely. She inspected the backyard, confirming that the gate was firmly closed. Bruno followed her everywhere, his tail wagging lightly, but his ears and eyes alert. Sam noticed Maria's careful actions. "Mama, why are you checking everything?" he asked, tilting his head. Maria smiled gently. "I just want to make sure we are safe, Sam. That is all," she said, brushing a curl from his forehead. Sam nodded, satisfied with her answer, and returned to his toys. Maria felt a small relief, but the uneasy feeling in her chest remained. She could not ignore the sense that something was about to happen. The envelope had warned her, and the strange noises and incidents from the day before were reminders that her instincts were correct. The morning passed slowly. Maria prepared breakfast, and Sam ate carefully while Bruno sat nearby. After breakfast, Maria decided it was time to tidy the garden. She wanted to ensure that everything outside was in order. Bruno followed her into the yard, sniffing the flowers and keeping watch while Maria worked. Sam played near the porch. He rolled his ball and laughed as Bruno chased it, barking softly in delight. Maria smiled at the sight. Despite the warning, the bond between Sam and Bruno brought her comfort. She knew that as long as Bruno was near, Sam would be safe. Suddenly, Bruno's ears perked up. He stopped in his tracks and growled low in his throat. Maria noticed immediately. She dropped the small watering can and went closer to Bruno. "What is it, Bruno?" she whispered. Bruno ran toward the gate, barking loudly. Maria followed, her heart pounding. She reached the gate and noticed a shadow moving near the fence. Her pulse quickened. She could not see clearly, but she knew someone had been there. Maria quickly closed and locked the gate. She looked around the yard carefully. The street outside was empty, and the neighbors' houses seemed quiet. She turned back to Bruno. "Good boy, Bruno. You are watching everything for us," Bruno barked once. Wagging his tail, still alert, Maria picked up Sam, who had run to her after hearing Bruno bark. "Mama, what is happening?" he asked, his small voice filled with concern. Maria hugged him tightly. "We are safe, Sam. Bruno and I are with you. Nothing will hurt you." She carried Sam inside and closed the door firmly. Bruno followed, sniffing the air and making sure everything was secure. Maria placed Sam on the couch and hugged him again. As she stood near the window, Maria's mind raced. The envelope, the noises, the pan falling, and the slightly open gate, they all seemed connected. Someone had been testing her, watching her, or sending a warning. She needed to discover who and why before anything could happen. Maria decided to call the neighbor. She picked up the phone and dialed carefully. After a few rings, the neighbor answered. Maria explained the events of the previous day, the envelope, and her concern for safety. The neighbor listened quietly and then said, "Maria, I saw someone near your house yesterday. It was hard to tell who it was, but it seemed like they were just watching. Maybe they wanted to warn you, but I cannot be sure." Maria thanked her neighbor and hung up. Her mind raced with questions. Who had left the note? Why had they warned her? And how had they been so close without being noticed? Bruno barked softly, pulling Maria's attention back to the living room. Sam was smiling again, holding his toy truck. Maria knelt beside him. "Sam, do you want to play a little inside?" she asked. Sam nodded eagerly. "Yes, Mama." Maria and Sam played with the blocks and trucks. Bruno lay nearby, his eyes constantly scanning the room. Maria tried to focus on the joy of the moment, but her thoughts kept returning to the envelope and the mysterious shadow near the fence. Hours passed, and the sun began to lower in the sky. Maria prepared a small snack for Sam. As he ate, she noticed something unusual near the front door. The envelope had moved slightly. Maria froze. Bruno immediately ran to the door, growling low. Maria approached the envelope cautiously. It had not been touched by anyone visible. She picked it up and opened it again. Inside was another small note. "You are alert. That is good. Stay careful." Maria felt a mixture of relief and worry. The note confirmed that someone had been watching her, but it was not harmful. It was only a warning. Whoever it was seemed to respect her and her ability to protect Sam. She looked at Sam and Bruno. The boy was playing quietly, and the dog remained alert, loyal, and protective. Maria felt a wave of gratitude. She realized that the most important thing was the bond they shared. With Bruno by her side, she could face any challenge. As evening approached, Maria decided to have a calm family moment. She placed Sam on her lap and read a story from his favorite book. Bruno lay nearby, resting but alert. The warmth and safety in the room made Maria feel a little lighter. The night came slowly. Maria tucked Sam into bed and kissed him gently. "Sleep well, my little one. Mama and Bruno are here," she said. Bruno lay at the foot of the bed, watching both Maria and Sam. The house was calm, the windows and doors securely locked. The mysterious notes had been warnings, not threats. Maria felt a sense of relief, but she also knew that vigilance was important. She sat in the living room, watching Bruno and Sam. The envelope was safely stored in a drawer. Maria realized that the day's events had taught her something valuable. It was not fear that mattered, but awareness and protection. She had trusted her instincts, and it had kept Sam safe. Suddenly, Bruno barked softly. Maria looked toward him. A small movement outside the window caught her attention. It was the neighbor, waving from across the street. Maria smiled and waved back, feeling a small comfort in knowing that she was not alone. The evening passed quietly. Maria, Sam, and Bruno spent the time together, enjoying the warmth and safety of their home. Maria reflected on the day's events. She understood that vigilance and love were her greatest strengths. The mysterious person had left a warning, and she had responded with care and alertness. Later, Maria checked the envelope one last time. She smiled softly. The note had been a reminder that she needed to trust her instincts, stay aware, and protect her family. Maria felt stronger and more confident. She hugged Sam gently, and Bruno rested his head on her lap, happy and loyal. The night was calm now. Maria sat in the quiet room, feeling grateful for the safety of her son and the loyalty of Bruno. The mysterious warning had not brought harm. Instead, it had reminded her of her role as a protector. Maria whispered softly to herself, "We are safe. Together, we can face anything." Bruno barked softly in agreement. Sam slept peacefully, unaware of the day's tension. Maria knew that as long as she stayed alert, loved, and cared for her son, no challenge would be too great. The envelope, the warnings, the noises, and the mysterious presence had all been lessons. Maria realized that fear was natural, but courage and vigilance were stronger. She felt proud of herself and thankful for Bruno, whose loyalty and protection had kept her son safe. As she sat quietly, Maria looked around the room, breathing deeply. The day had begun with unease and ended with safety. The bond between Maria, Sam, and Bruno had grown stronger. They had faced a challenge together, and they had emerged unharmed and connected. The house was quiet, peaceful, and safe. Maria felt relief and happiness. She knew that together, they could face any unknown that came their way. And she knew that with love, vigilance, and courage, nothing could harm the family. Maria gently stood, turning off the lights. Bruno followed her to the door of Sam's room, lying down once more at the foot of the bed. Maria kissed her son one last time and whispered, "Good night, Sam. We are safe, always." The night settled over the house. The warning had passed. The family was safe. Maria, Sam, and Bruno rested together, calm and secure, knowing that love, awareness, and loyalty were the greatest protectors.